This was their attempt to create a high-end market for Canadian whiskey. Hello and welcome to My Tiny Bottles, the project where I'm exploring my grandmother's legacy of miniature liquor bottles, one tiny bottle at a time. I'm your host, Tammy Coxon. When we last left our friends at Canadian Club, they were owned by liquor conglomerate Allied Domecq, who in the late 1990s restaged the brand. This included releasing some new varieties of Canadian Club and that adorable 4-pack barrel of mini bottles that I talked about a few bottles ago. But that wasn't the first time Canadian Club had added something new to the lineup. That was in 1984, 2 years before the purchase by Allied Domecq, when it released Bottle 96 Canadian Club Classic. This 12-year-old version of Canadian Club was marketed as a premium whiskey, meant to compete with Canadian Club's biggest competitor, Crowne Royal, which was produced by their rival Seagrams. It was also meant to appeal to drinkers of higher-end Scotch and bourbon. It was a bit of an odd time to release a premium whiskey, as the world was just starting to come out of the economic recession of the early 1980s. But they were actually just responding to the market. While overall liquor consumption and sales of lower-priced products both declined in the early 1980s, sales of premium products rose. It's no coincidence that the 1980s also saw the beginning of the sharp escalation of income inequality that we still live in today. Canadian Club hoped that this product would help it appeal to a higher class of drinkers. In a 1985 interview, Gerard Gianni, the head of Hiram Walker US, said that it's hard to be in the middle today, with the US polarizing into two camps: the status seekers who say, "It's expensive, but I'm worth it," and those seeking low-priced products. This was their attempt to create a high-end market for Canadian whiskey. I can't tell you how successful that was. I can tell you that in 1989, the Osco drugstore chain in Chicago declared the Windy City cocktail, featuring Canadian Club Classic and Triple Sec, to be the hottest drink in town and the official drink of Chicago. It seems strange that the official drink of a major US city featured a Canadian spirit, but I don't call the 1980s the dark ages of cocktails for nothing. The tagline used in early advertising for Classic was "Break out the wood," and they really played up the longer aging time with ads featuring wooden boxes and broken staves. It touted itself as the world's first barrel-blended 12-year-old Canadian whiskey. Not sure what barrel blending even means? The small print explained it. Barrel blending is the process of blending selected whiskeys as they are poured into oak barrels to marry prior to bottling. Don't you love the smell of marketing in your whiskey? I know I do. Canadian Club still sells a 12-year-old today. It's no longer the top of the line, as they now have an 18-year-old, as well as a whole series of Canadian Club Chronicles bottles that are over 40 years old. Its demotion shows in the packaging, as the current 12-year-old bottle is pretty plain Jane, with just a slightly different label than the basic bottling. My bottle, on the other hand, is really quite striking, with an elegant, squarish shape and a beautiful embossed label that really makes you feel like you're about to drink something special. My bottle is from 1985, the second year Canadian Club Classic was available. I know this so precisely because it has a tax strip with the distillation year of the youngest whiskey, 1973, just a year after that bottle of regular Canadian Club that I tasted with my dad. I did save a little bit of that one for a side-by-side tasting with this one, so I'll get to see if 6 more years in barrels makes much of a difference. Hit that subscribe button so you'll catch that tasting episode when it comes out. Head on over to mytinybottles.com for more on this bottle and all the rest of the bottles I've discovered from Grandma's collection so far. Leave a comment there or below or on social media at TammyLC on Blue Sky and at MyTinyBottles on Instagram and Facebook. You can also check out my Patreon for bonus content. Your likes, shares, and follows are always appreciated. Cheers!